All right, guys. So now we're talking about the Great Depression, which the Roaring Twenties, everybody's buying all this stuff. Okay, and it's going to set that foundation. So the causes for the Great Depression were communist revolutions, attack on Pearl Harbor, get rich quick attitudes of stock market speculators, which led to the Haymarket riots and the impressments. Of course, we know the bold stuff is a lie. So let's look at this. All right. So the causes for the Great Depression were industrial overproduction. We understand that overproduction occurs when companies produce, all right, too much stuff. Secondly, underconsumption. This is when consumers begin to buy less. All right. Then it was the stock market. People were saying, "Ooh, I'm going to try to get rich quick." Speculating, guessing, gambling on the stock market. Next, again, we had what was known as the stock market crash of 1929, which we already looked at. And another big idea is we had a banking panic. What people did was they rushed to banks to pull all of their money out of the banks. Well, back then, there was no insurance or nothing protected your money in the bank. So if the bank closed, you lost everything. And that is exactly what happened. So these were the things, because everybody in the Roaring Twenties, we were producing, we were consuming, we were playing the stock market, we were putting our money in banks. Well, it all crashed. It was a roller coaster. The 1920s went up. The 1930s, it went down. Now, buying on credit became popular during the 1920s, and it encouraged consumers to buy more than they could afford, in which they would go into debt. This caused people to reduce what they were buying. This is true. Again, we're looking at causes for the Great Depression. That's what led to underconsumption. And the problem was everybody was, hey, we'll give you this credit. You know, you can pay on this later. And so that set the foundation and the issues. Now, business underproducing and people buying more or underconsuming caused a surplus, more than what people needed or used. This surplus of goods caused businesses to stay open and lay people off. This is some true and false. So here we see it is not underproducing, it is what? Overproducing. And people were buying what? Less. Now, this is cause a surplus. A surplus is when you have too much. You have like you go to TJ Maxx, all right, somewhere like that, they have the stuff that was overproduced and they want to get it sold. Now, this caused businesses to close. If businesses close, that means people no longer have jobs. Unemployment is going to skyrocket. Now, homeless and unemployed people had to settle in large houses and condos in rich areas, which became known as Rooseveltvilles. These residents slept in packing crates and had to beg for food. Of course, some of this is false, okay? They were homeless and they weren't unemployed because they lost their jobs, so they could not pay their bills. They lived in what was known as camps of shacks and tents in rundown areas. And these cities, these places where these people migrated to, were called Hoovervilles. And this was because everybody blamed Herbert Hoover, who was president at the outset of the Great Depression. Now, overproduction in farming, new machinery, and a severe drought, meaning a shorter range, were causes for the Dust Bowl, which was a series of severe dust storms that picked up loosened dirt across the Great Plains. This is true. Okay, this is true. So what we're seeing is all these causes and these issues for the Great Depression, and these just times are bad. All right, times are bad. Now, what do you think these Hoovervilles look like? Imagine in your head like these Hoovervilles look like this. Take about 10 seconds, and then let's think about it. This is what the Hoovervilles look like. You can see that there was an issue with housing, tenements, people living in these cramped conditions right out the side of cities, just makeshift built houses. And these were people who were unemployed and lost their jobs. Always remember, smile is contagious. Next video will be coming up shortly.